Hello and welcome to Season 2 of the Coming Down to Earth with Spirit podcast with me, David Hale. Like with Season 1, we will continue talking about all things spiritual in a real and down-to-earth way. So I hope you can join me on my podcast journey so you can learn from my own spiritual journey and experiences with spirit in order to help you on your own spiritual journey and development. So join me now as we get into this episode. Hello everybody, I hope you're well. Thank you very much for coming back to this podcast. Now if it sounds like I'm in a goldfish bowl, it's because I've got a cold. So yeah, I'm a bit bunged up, can barely breathe through my nostrils, so that's why I sound like this. But I wanted to do this episode based on a listener question. And the question is, how can you get over a fear of spirits/ghosts if you want to believe but you are absolutely terrified? And I'm sure there's actually more than one person who wants to know the answer to that question. And there was also another question from the same person which I may try and tie into this episode because I think the next question kind of can cause some of that fear. And the question there is, could you explain more your thoughts about demons? Are there such thing as demons, or are they just mean spirits? So, as always, I can only give you my opinion and my view on the world of spirit and from my experiences. And then you can take that and hopefully apply it to yourself when thinking about this question, because I can't really tell you how to get over your fear. But hopefully with what I talk about in this episode, you can just take some of that and just apply it to yourself, as I just said. So hopefully you'll still find this episode useful. But I think the important thing to do first is to establish, why are you scared? What makes you scared? What is it about spirits, ghosts, if you want to call them that make you scared? And I think it just brings it back to basics and just allows you to understand why. Because sometimes if we don't understand why we're afraid of something, it's then very difficult to find a solution to it. So we need to go back to basics first and really understand ourselves and why this fear is there. Why do we feel it? And actually, I do remember when I first told my dad that I was developing as a medium and working with the spirit world, the first thing he asked me was, well, can you not do something that's a little less scary? And although I'd only been doing it, I don't know, about 6 months at that point, it wasn't scary to me. I'd never been scared by spirits. So it's interesting to see different people's viewpoints on it. But I can understand why people would find spirits scary. And if I level with you a minute, although I do what I do, the last thing I'd want to do is to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and see a dead person stood at the end of my bed, whether it's a loved one or not. I don't care. They shouldn't be there. I'll probably be up out of that bed quicker than I got into it. And so I do think if I had an experience like that, it would freak me out a little bit. So I can understand that part. But I also do think that a lot of the fear that people have comes from what they see in the media. So from Hollywood, TV and film, where spirit communication tends to always be depicted as this scary, horrific experience, and it's not the reality. You have films based on exorcisms and seances and Ouija boards, and it's always someone's been possessed because they use a Ouija board and they've been dragged to hell and all this and all this stuff. But I think a lot of the fear comes from that, and which doesn't do the work that I do, and it doesn't do the spirit world any favours, really, because they're not showcasing the reality of the spirit world and of spirit communication. And even if you take the word ghost, that word itself, it's a small word, but to a lot of people, that word has a negative or a scary connotation to it. But again, it's a word that's used in media, in literature, in films to depict this spooky object walking around, hanging around a staircase somewhere wearing a white dress. It's always that same thing, right? But actually, many mediums don't believe in the word ghost or in ghosts at all. And actually, I don't know even if I believe in ghosts, right? Because to me, in my mind, a ghost is just a manifestation of a spirit person. And in the 7 years I've been doing this, I've only ever seen 3 manifestations of spirits. But if I said to someone I saw a ghost, they're going to go, what was it like? Was it scary? What did they look like? And so straight away, again, you've got the negative connotation where actually it's just a spirit person just showing you themselves. There's nothing scary about it, if that makes sense. But if we think about the spirit world as a whole, the spirit world is not a scary place. The scary place is Earth, right? We have to deal with stuff on this Earth, which is hard, which is scary. My mum says to me, you should be more afraid of the living than the dead. And I'm sure some of you have heard that term as well. You know, someone might have said that to you. You know, it's the living that's going to hurt you, not the dead. The dead are not physical beings. They are spirit beings. They're not going to harm you. And why would they harm you? Because if you operate from a place of love and compassion, you're only going to attract the same thing. And those things are your spirit people. Because the spirit world is where your loved ones are housed. You know, whether it be your grandparents, your parents, friends, or whatever they might be, they're your loved ones. You loved them dearly and they loved you. Therefore, there's nothing to be scared of because they will always connect with you based on love and nothing else. But let's also be real here for a minute as well. And this links to the other question that was asked, which was, what are my thoughts about demons? Are there such things or are they just mean spirits? Now, I personally don't believe in demons, but I do believe there are evil spirits. And that's because everything has an opposite. Where you have good spirits, there will be bad spirits. But not just because of that, but think about it. Evil people live. And have lived. There have been very evil people who have lived on this earth who have now passed to spirits. They don't go to spirit and automatically become angels, right? If they were evil in life, they're going to be evil in death unless they've worked on themselves. That's a whole other story. But you know, think about those people like Hitler, like Jack the Ripper, who might seem to be a bit of a mythical character, but he was a person who did some horrendous things to women. You have other paedophiles, murderers, rapists that have existed in life who have now passed. So because they lived and they've now gone to spirit, where we all go, whether we like it or not, they are going to exist. However, you're not going to be attacked by them because why would you? You have no connection to these evil people in the spirit world. And also, when they go to spirit, they go to a lower level in the spirit world. And without getting too technical, again, it's another whole topic by itself. But the spirit world is not just one place. There are different levels within the spirit world. And these evil people will not be on the same level as the place that you'll go. They're not on the same level where your spirit family are. They are in the depths, as I call it, the depths of the spirit world, which more religious people might term as being hell, right? I don't believe in the concept of heaven and hell, but we're talking about the same thing here, just using a different language. So that's where they're going to be. They're not going to be mixing with your family and friends, right? They're not all up there having a lovely cup of tea together, socializing, talking about the good old days when they slit someone's throat, right? They'll be staying downstairs where they're supposed to be. But again, that might come across as being a bit scary, they've got nothing to do with us, right? They don't connect to us unless you're a bit evil yourself. Those evil spirits are never going to mess with us unless we mess with them through things like Ouija boards and seances that are not protected and all that kind of stuff. That's a whole different topic, but you can kind of see what I'm getting at there. But no, honestly, the spirit world, again, based on my experience, they are not, they're not here to scare us. Your spirit family want to connect through to you because they want you to know that they are there. They want you to know that you are loved. They don't miss out on anything, but they are not here. They can't harm us. Again, they're not in a physical body. They're in a spirit body. So no harm is going to come to us as long as we operate as we operate, right? We operate with kindness, with love. Again, we're not, unless you're a serial killer yourself, you're not going to connect with a serial killer. So Just remember, spirit world is love, right? Without sounding too airy-fairy about it, because I'm not an airy-fairy medium, but it's true. Your spirit family would never have any bad intentions, and why would they, right? Even if you were to see a shadow in your home, it doesn't mean it's anything scary either. I know that in the past, my nan has shown herself to my mum in the form of shadows, and my mum didn't tell me anything about this situation. I had my nan connect to me, and my nan was showing me shadows in my mind, and I said to my mum, "You've been seeing shadows?" And she went, "Yeah, I saw one or two the other day in the house." I went, "Yeah, that's Nan." So although many people may consider shadows to be scary, because again, it has that negative connotation, doesn't it? Seeing a shadow, it doesn't mean it is. That's just at that moment, that's your spirit person, your spirit family's way of letting you know that they are there with you at that particular minute, because your house is not suddenly going to become haunted for no reason, right? My belief is nothing can enter your space unless you invite it in, especially when it's to do with spirit and energy, right? Nothing can affect your energy unless you allow it to. So again, we're coming back to the Ouija board and the seances, which are not protected, and you're asking for any old Tom, Dick or Harry from the spirit world to come in and connect and communicate and whatever else. That's when certain things can go wrong. But in general, the spirit world is not a place to fear. But I think that's it. I think I've answered the question there. I'm going to shut up now because I do feel like I'm rambling just a little bit. So once again, thank you very much for the question. Look after yourselves, and I'll speak to you soon. Well, there you have it. That's the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed what you heard and you found it interesting. There are plenty more episodes to come, so stay tuned, and I'll speak to you all soon.